to be cute about this. Welcome, everyone, to Content Pinning, the show with Travis and Dylan. I'm Travis.
I'm Dylan.
This is a special podcast specifically to talk about the finale of Game of Thrones. How many years, Dylan?
I think technically 10 years of development and whatnot. 8 seasons.
8 seasons.
2010, 2011 started. First air.
A long ass time.
Yeah. Before times.
If you don't know the show, you want to know more about the show, go to contentpinning.com and go to youtube.com/contentpinning for episodes that we do. We like to usually have some drinks and talk about things that happen over the week at Don's Depot, but we really wanted to rush this in because this is a big fucking deal.
Clickbait.
It's clickbait too. Don't focus on that because some people get upset about it, but at the same time, it's a big fucking deal.
It is.
My small preface to the idea is that I'm a big Marvel nerd, and so when the end games were coming, I need to make sure that I get into them as quickly as possible to not see any spoilers. And there really isn't anything else that I've been around where that's necessary. If previously my wife would run these wonderful watch parties, we'd watch Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Dexter is where it started off, but we would watch Breaking Bad. We would watch it at the time, and so I never really worried about spoilers.
Yeah, we used to watch Game of Thrones live when it first aired.
Yeah, when it first started there at the Jackalope in Austin, Texas. And that was always a lot of fun, but we were always right there. And so we've always been kind of, spoiler privileged, I guess, in some sense, where we didn't have to worry about waiting for it. And so, but we've been watching the show. We've been busy. We've been so busy we always watch it on Mondays. And so I've been really stressed about it.
You watch it on Mondays.
Right, I watch it. I've just been, and so you were ready. And
That's right.
So I've been really nervous about it. But it's funny when you think about this as a before anything that we've done in the past or any other TV show. What was the last time that people got really upset about spoilers? Like the big shows that did this shit were
this is truly unique.
The internet did not work around the time that JR was shot by someone. Or the last episode of MASH. It was a huge deal. Yeah. And so Game of Thrones, 10 years, 8 seasons. And here we are. So
yeah,
that's the reason why we're coming in. So this is our reaction video or audio. Yeah, just a quickie. So I'll just say, Dylan, what'd you think of the last episode of Game of Thrones?
So before we came out to talk about this kind of stuff, you and I both watched a lot of videos, and there are literally one new video every 13 seconds about what's wrong with it, what's this or what's that. I don't want to do that. It's easy to nitpick. I'm taking a little bit different angle. We're just kind of talking about good things, bad things, vibe, general thing.
Okay, sure.
So in that context, I'm kind of separating the...
Are you going to focus on the entire series or just the episode?
I end up kind of going just vibe on Game of Thrones in general.
Okay.
And kind of missteps in the last season or two.
Right.
Rather than focus on just this last finale. Because the reality is it's the finale, not the last episode. So
sure.
I'm kind of bundling it all togetger.
Okay.
It's easy to go, hey, that one scene was dumb.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Literally, there's thousands of
Everyone's doing that, yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with some thoughts and some good stuff and jump in whenever you feel like it. So jokingly, last week again, I said King Davos would be sitting on the throne of the Six Kingdoms.
Sure.
I got the Six Kingdoms part right. And honestly, apparently King Davos was not as far-fetched as anyone could have imagined because, let's face it, Bronn... yeah, okay, whatever.
Right.
Curious choice, let's put it that way.
Yes. Bronn is the master of coin, which makes the most sense because...
Oh, I'm sorry, King Bronn.
Oh, King Bran, okay, sure.
At this point, who cares?
Right. Ding.
So I want to start with what was great. And let me get my note. I have notes.
Of course.
What was great was the production. No matter what anyone says about a story and whatnots, and there are a lot of things to say about the story. The behind the scenes documentaries that are on HBO Go /Now are phenomenal. You cannot give enough shout out to the people who made Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Visually, it's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
The last couple episodes were amazing. I mentioned we were talking off air last week. The Bells episode literally had a scene where they set a record for the most number of people on fire on screen ever in history.
Yes.
22 people in a burn. That's fantastic.
That's amazing.
And this is a TV show on HBO. So you got to give credit to the production staff. All the visuals are fantastic.
Right.
Nothing else. Cheers to all those people in Ireland and Croatia and whatnot who made some great television. So I'm starting there. Cheers to that.
Yeah, cheers to that. I can say
Yay.
that for sure.
Hey, we're drinking.
Because cinematographer wise, of course, like gorgeous. And this season in particular, and I would say throw in one of my criticisms when it comes to overreaching things for season is a lot of establishing shots. Mm-hmm. Gorgeous stuff, but like a lot of establishing shots. I don't think it worked as well, but that's just a punch. Yeah.
No, that's a fair punch. What I don't want to knock on is how beautiful it was.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm getting into the bad stuff.
Sure.
The second thing I've got to say another props to all the actors. Regardless of nitpicks that the fans are going to have, and there are a lot of them, and they're legitimate criticisms.
Lots and lots of them.
The actors, I think, did a fantastic job with clearly a situation where they've all been in this for 10 years. They're ready to move on, and that's tough for an actor.
Yes.
Secondly, they clearly had weaker material than they've had in the past, and they made the most of it.
Right.
And you've got to give it, especially in those, combine those two things where Dinklage, for example, he is openly saying, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm an actor. I'm not Tyrion Lannister.
Yeah.
And especially in his case in particular, being one of the funniest, sharpest, wittest, best characters, best written characters in the past 6 and plus change seasons.
Yeah.
To now go, I'm Tyrion.
Right.
But despite that, again, some of the missteps, I think, in the way they handled some of the last couple of episodes, despite the way like he's walking through and finds Jaime and Cersei, his acting is fantastic in that scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
And his acting in the scene before episode before that where he's saying goodbye to
Jaime, yeah.
Both of them fantastic. So
yeah.
Props to the actors for doing. So if fans are mad, keep it in your pants, kids. There are criticisms.
Right.
But let's just give a shout out to the people who actually made the show and did a great job delivering it. That said, let's stare into the abyss now, shall we? Let me get my 2 pages out here.
Let me get my Simon and Garfunkel ready too.
So I'm going to start with, for the most part, you and our friend Adam, much bigger into the books than I never really got into the books. They were just a little too much for me. But so the way the season finale ended, this I'm going to focus kind of on definitely this season, and then kind of the end game for Game of Thrones. I'm okay with about 80 or 90% of the final turn to the last page of the mystery novel, see who done it outcomes. I'm okay with most of what ended up.
Right.
It's the delivery that kind of pisses me off.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they just kind of pissed away a lot of opportunity. And just made a lot of bad writing choices getting to those outcomes.
Sure.
And I'm some people say, like Adam was talking last week about, the books are better, and there is a lot of material that they did not cover that they could have covered, yes. But even with the arc they took, they still could have just stayed within those pages, but done a better job delivering the material.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of my vibe. And I think it kind of comes down to the decision to truncate the last 2 seasons. And depending on how you're doing your episode math and how long is a season, there's like 5 to 7 episodes they didn't film in the past 2 years.
Right.
That's a lot.
Right.
That's a lot of screen time.
Yep.
And if you even
a lot of exposition, at least.
Yes, if you kept all the same beats and just let those 5-7 episodes exist, and you kind of go back to the nut meat of what makes Game of Thrones great, which is the slower burn, the let things evolve and let characters exist independently of each other. That could have been enough to really kind of satisfy me a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah. So that's where I would start. But.
Sure. If I could put it down, because like you said, we've been watching criticisms, we've been watching videos all day, just kind of getting our heads around it. Because I famously said, and at least on a podcast, famously, that I liked the second to last episode, the penultimate episode of this season. because it felt more like what the books would have done.
Yeah.
Not the books themselves, but closer to what the books would have
Correct,
done.
yeah.
And I feel like this finale was also similar. And so I started to think about what that actually means. And the word that comes down, the word that I really think of is the word irony. There's a lot, especially when it comes to Rian Johnson. Since Rian Johnson's Last Jedi, the term subverting expectations has been thrown around so much because that's really cheap fucking writing. You believe this character's going to do this, and he zigzags and jukes, and then he goes somewhere else. But the thing about the series, the books and the TV series so far, up until the point when they ran out of content, was irony. Any major character that had any major amount of vengeance in their heart, for example, would have an ironic end.
Yes.
They would move on to doing this one thing and then die. So vengeance equals death. Now then we have Arya, whose entire arc has been about vengeance, and she just floats off into the sunset. And that's really fucking weird. That's what I was saying. I said to you previously, I really wanted her. I really wanted the fucking faceless men to I wanted her to be punished.
Yeah.
For stealing all their secrets and stealing all their powers and then running off and just doing it for their own thing. Because she was punished. She was blinded for wanting to use petty vengeance instead of saying the multi-faced god or whatever. So there was those pieces. All those pieces before. Catelyn and Robert dying because they just take everything out. Every single character that had that projection or that idea of what they were supposed to do always kind of ironically got switched. But it wasn't Martin saying, well, they don't expect this.
Yeah.
It was, hey, you have to understand that trajectory is a weird fucking thing. You can bounce off of the rocks on one bank and then land in a garbage truck somewhere else, It's entirely possible. And so that's what I feel like the last 2 seasons at least have been unearned celebration for things that were so positive that they turned into, I don't know, soap opera, fan fiction.
Actually, that is almost exactly what I had in my notes. So I had this kind of a bullet points of thoughts, and what I have is stuff that actually did suck. And the bullet point is fan service.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes to a couple different things. Moving the plot or moving characters for the sake of the plot. We have to have everybody in Westeros now, so skip a bit.
Right.
Having everyone there at the same time, or having... especially when you get through seasons 5 through 6, you have now established that there are about a half a dozen characters they're all the characters. These are the stars.
Right.
They're all going to make it to the end.
Yeah, yeah.
And to your point,
cavalcade of heroes.
To your point, that's not how the first half of Game of Thrones started. In fact, it like you point out it very eloquently, the idea of irony, the idea you have a character who's exploring a story arc of redemption, for example.
Yes.
Who you think, oh, good, they're finally going to make it. I fell in love with this character. They won me over. Dead. That's how the first 4 or 5 seasons of this show started.
and that kind of tragedy was also earned too.
Correct.
It
wasn't just that.
It wasn't just hey, you didn't see this coming. It was no, you didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend about this previously. The thing is that the penultimate episode again, it's the famous fight between Euron and Jaime.
Yeah.
And it's very frustrating for people, but take it out of context and then put it just on the paper. If Martin had written it, instead of saying, oh, that's contrived, he'd say, oh, Jaime has the worst luck because it wasn't earned. It didn't make sense for him to just wash up on shore. But it would have made sense if instead of washing up on shore, he just turned a corner and Euron was already there. He's going up to the Red Keep, and
so if Euron had been, if
he'd already been there,
if Euron had washed up on shore 5 minutes earlier and said, I'm going to go fuck the queen.
Yep. Yeah. And then it had to fight for Cersei.
That would have worked.
How beautiful that would have been.
That would have been great.
Yeah, because I mean, and I don't even think we have the time to be able to talk about the idea of prophecy, because prophecy is the other big thing they fucked up in this series.
Yeah.
Because that's also about the weird trajectory of these characters and the irony of what they're supposed to do. But it all came down to these are the things that are supposed to happen, and so many people were stolen from that. But it doesn't mean that anyway. So, but yeah. So.
Yeah, and fan service, I think, is for me again the big downfall.
Absolutely, Arya killing the Night King was fun.
Yeah, but I don't know if that was necessarily accurate or in character to what the real mythos of the universe would have led to. Again, we don't know what George is going to go to. Maybe he did whisper that and then Dave and Dan's ear. I don't know. But for me, like the feeling I got as a fan of the show watching it was, okay, I get why the band's all back together. They're all here at Winterfell.
Right.
There is maybe 10% reason that it makes sense on paper.
Right.
But my classic GOT classic vibe I would have liked to have seen fewer of those stars actually either make it to Winterfell. They shouldn't have.
No.
And then some of them definitely should have died at Winterfell.
Definitely should have died at Winterfell, yes.
Samwell.
Yeah.
Instead, he's, I'm running off and pulling a Frodo. I'm going to get married. And apparently I'm going to propose.
Become the fucking maester, too.
I'm going to become the maester of the New King's Landing.
What the fuck?
And I'm going to propose that we let the peasants vote.
Right. Which they didn't actually do in the first place because they gave it to Brandon after that anyway.
He proposed to vote first.
Yeah.
They all laughed at him.
And they laughed at him. But
then they end up voting, but that's voting because they're white privileged people.
Well, right, but that was the whole thing they would have done if he hadn't said it either. So that was another thing they proposed that they just didn't use for a joke.
Well, that and Samwell should have died. Clearly should have died
at least 100 times in Winterfell, yeah.
But that whole idea of fan service, well, we got to get them all there. We got to get them there. And like, I don't think, again, prior to, I'm flashback to season 1, Ned Stark, you think he's going to be saved by whatever contrivance, whether it's Varys and plots or if it's Sansa saying, no, please don't cut my dad's head off.
Right.
They did anyway. And again, like you said, it was earned.
It was earned, yeah.
That should have happened to a lot more of the quote-unquote celebrity character stars who made it to the very end of the
Especially
episode.
Ed Sheeran. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, him being the throne would have made more sense than Bran.
Absolutely.
So fan service thing was the big thing that got me. Everything else kind of goes into well, I'm not making an episode specific. Writing. I actually have a point about writing that I think we talked last week about this kind of off there. And I was trying to think of it's easy to hate on Dan and Dave, Dumb and Dumber.
Sure. Like such. Good example, yes.
And again, I don't know what their rationale was. Was it just we're done doing this? We want to finish this story up because it's been a couple years ago.
Right.
It's been 6 years.
Right.
We can't do 4 more of this. It'll kill us. Okay, I'm fine with that.
Sure.
But you could have made different choices.
One more.
Well, again, if you just made full seasons, I think that would have been enough. I think if you'd made full seasons, you could have gotten there. And that's where I kind of focus on. Actually, I brought up one thing that, fans may feel like characters weren't serviced well, or plots may have been rushed, or there's too much of we have to get to this thing before the end of the hour. That's subjective for the most part.
Yeah.
However, there was one thing I wanted to focus on. We talked about a little bit off air that is empirically bad, and that is the battle tactics that are constantly used in the past season.
Insanely bad. Insanely bad.
They are legitimately, empirically bad.
Yeah, just wrong.
And wrong.
Just wrong. Yeah.
And what's worse is you could have had the same end result in the same episode, in the same timeline, with different choices that would have added more drama and been tactically more correct.
Absolutely.
Would have serviced the characters differently and better, rather than just saying, well, we need to have a big battle now, so let's light some shit on fire.
Yep.
And that's the part I think that really, is hitting me and a lot of people who are like, not so... I mean, there's a lot of people on the interwebs who are like really pissed off. I'm not really pissed off. I just want it to be better. I'm not really upset with it.
Right.
But that's where I kind of go to, okay, they didn't, again, like I said, the end game they got to, I think, made sense, dotted most of the I's and whatever.
Yeah.
Most of it.
And it not 100% made sense. For anyone who's like misunderstanding what we're saying, we're talking academically.
They screwed some stuff up.
They screwed a bunch of stuff up. There's a lot of like fantasy options they could have padded the runtime with or whatever, but but like pointing to like a bad writing decision right there, just poor battle tactics that fucked up the storylines. Right.
And we're just lazy writing.
I can underline this too, like instead of leave the same battle tactics but add a little bit more fantasy to it. Like for example, let's say Sam came back from his time at college, and he now has the ability to make wildfire.
Yeah, that would have been great.
That would have been fucking great. That would have held people off, or maybe increase the flame trajectory of the dragons, like that we've seen so far. Keep that consistent, and then add 200,000 more fucking zombies. Give them one more day, for example. Any version of that, make that a 2-part episode where the exhaustion is not, we're in the middle of Winterfell, all of our characters are literally hoping that they're going to survive, to we just made it by the skin of our teeth tactically. Mm-hmm. Using magic and powerful, really silly stuff. Because the silly stuff is what people are buying to right now anyway.
And I think on that note, the magic and silly stuff they did have, they used badly.
Yeah, used super badly. Yeah.
Like, apparently a dragon can literally blow up, walls, but it took Melisandre to light the fire in the trenches. Like,
right.
You have a dragon who can blow the fuck out of stone walls.
Yeah, yeah.
Literally burn a city to a ground.
Knock some shit down.
But can't burn some zombies?
Yeah.
Or light a fire in a trench?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just bad and lazy.
It's the frustrating, it's lazy.
That's where I get pissed off.
Yeah, of course.
Because that's just terrible.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah. Unearned.
And that's right. I agree with you, and I just kind of maybe I lazily push to that's just lazy because I want it to be earned. I want this is why this is why there are thousands of fucking YouTube videos about this stuff. Mm-hmm. We wanted it to be better. We wanted it to end. We wanted to keep loving it.
Yeah,
and now it's harder.
Yeah.
And maybe in a weird way, that's what the Game of Thrones is. It's bittersweet. It's supposed to be kind of a not everybody wins.
Oh, sure. I mean, yes. If you're saying what we didn't see is what the show should have been, then yes, I'm 100% in.
But I'm being hopeful. I'm sorry.
And I feel like it's going to be a very simple or very easy counter argument for some people to say like, well, this is expectations again, diverted expectations. No. But like, truth of the matter is, they've missed out a couple of really cool ideas. Like, for one, is Bran trustworthy? Because there's a concept there that Bran is the three-eyed raven who's been at war with the Lord of Light for a very long time. Mm-hmm. And so people who were coming up with these theories about what actually might be happening that wasn't deliberately shown, that is like a much better version of the show, is complex and interesting, and all it requires is, like, and we've said on the podcast before, set phasers to stun. So you take one scene, you take the one scene at the end of the series. Jon has just stabbed Daenerys, just stabbed her to death, and Drogon's right fucking in front of him and is about to light him up. If his eyes were white,
oh yeah, that would have been great.
Fucking great. Because then you would say that Bran set all this shit up in order specifically so he can be king, so he can then fight the Lord of Light, who is related to Jon Snow. Give him one more episode of Jon Snow being the fucking Jesus Christ character that they've set him up to be, and then have a fight with his own siblings.
Or even just end it there and like the whole idea of I'm going to break the wheel. Like, no, it turns out the wheel is not broken.
The wheel's not broken because there's people, because like that's
stronger magic than yours.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah. How cool would that be?
Again, this is where the idea of lazy writing comes to place.
Yeah.
Even if you get to the same end, with some minor changes, you could have done more with it. And that's where I think the frustration lies. So.
And for the people who listen to this or whatever, remember this one thing. D&D, Dumb and Dumber, Dave and Dan, were given this project by George Martin specifically because a lot of people were trying to option for it. Mm-hmm. Showtime was at it. A lot of other programs and networks were actually after it. But HBO got it because D&D were asked the one question, who is Jon Stark's mother? And they answered it correctly. That meant that they cared about that. But it also meant that all of his Targaryen shit in the show, basically pointless.
Yes.
And so they took that baton and then dropped it in the river somewhere.
Their butt out.
Exactly.
Made a bong out of it. I don't know.
You're fine.
There's no cameras right here.
So yeah, it's
yeah.
So it's a lot of unearned stuff. It's a lot of mistakes, and it's just sad.
Yeah,
it's just sad. But being mad, not worth it. Not worth being mad.
No.
We have Star Wars for that.
Correct. Actually, quick side note. Oh man, this is a short episode.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
A couple of final thoughts. On one hand, I'm kind of okay with Dan and Dave having a Star Wars trilogy.
Okay.
From one perspective only, and that is clearly they know how to handle a budget and make really amazing, compelling visual TV and media you want to watch.
Yeah.
Just please hire different writers. You guys are fantastic showrunners.
Yep.
No doubt about that. You guys can run a show. Just don't write it.
Well, it's important to know, too, that George R. R. Martin did consult past the books. It's also, and I feel like this is a really good point, I heard earlier, remember that the Hold the Door in Hodor is past the books. So D&D did have some chops in them.
Okay. I did not know that.
So they have the ability. And I wouldn't be surprised if one or two things happen. One, we find out that there was a legal battle that was running out of time and they had to finish the series as quickly as possible because, again, the rumor is that the books have to come out at a certain point because, I mean, George R. R. Martin, what is he doing otherwise? Or that they were just exhausted. But, like, I think that's a really big thing. We're going to find out, I think, in the next 5 years or so, that some other thing was working that was pushing them beyond their capabilities or forced them to rush it because really 6 episodes for the final season of one of the most popular...
Not one of, probably the most popular.
Not only the most, but also definitely the most popular fantasy television series that's ever existed. It beats Xena for sure.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, so...
Yeah.
I have faith in them being able to write something if they have the time to sit down and write it, but I don't feel like they had the time to do it.
I would echo that.
I might be too apologetic.
I would echo that, and I would only challenge them if they are going to write it. Write all 3 scripts ahead of time.
Yes. Yeah.
And don't cave
Yeah.
to Kathleen Kennedy or focus groups.
Right.
Or
Right.
if you want to write a 3-movie 6-hour epic space adventure, put it all on paper first.
Yeah.
Like George did.
Yeah.
Then film it.
Yeah.
Don't do the other stuff. Don't do the Ryan Johnson.
Yeah.
Don't
do it like the Orville does it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. How about that idea?
Yeah.
2 other things real quick. I've been watching a lot of reaction videos and stuff. There's one guy, I mentioned him last week, Nerdrotic.
Mm-hmm.
I have to give this guy the most props in the history of all YouTube. So in the 15 hours after the episode came out, he did 2 live streams for a total of 7 hours. And then posted 2 other videos of 20 minutes long. And I'm hoping he ate and pooped at some point too, because but for 15 hours, right after the episode aired, 3-hour live stream. A couple hours later, 4-hour live stream, going, "Hey, I couldn't get to all the people in the last live stream. Let's do another one."
Right.
So crazy, but that guy has spent the past 2 days of his life responding to Game of Thrones. So that's how much the fans care. So keep that in mind, kids.
Yeah.
And my final thought was, I love the Game of Thrones, and I was thinking about. I've watched it a billion times. I've binged it. Would I binge it again? And if I did, would I watch it all the way to the end? And my answer right now is I'd watch seasons 1 through 4 without a question. Absolutely yes.
Mm.
Seasons 5 and 6, I'd probably skip a couple episodes.
Okay.
Season 7, I might watch a couple of episodes.
Okay.
Season 8, I don't think I'd finish it. I don't think I'd watch it.
If I started off watching the entire thing, I'd watch the entire thing because I have some faith that perhaps because we've been watching it in little tiny pieces, that it's worse because we've had a week to worry about what's going to happen. I don't know. I don't know for a fact, but I'm going to stay optimistic about it, and I would just watch the whole thing on the way through. Or fall asleep at some point and then wake up and be like, oh, where are we now? Because I did that with Breaking Bad first because I didn't like Breaking Bad at first. And then I watched it all the way through again and it was like, holy shit, golden fucking television. But yeah, I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I hate myself.
I think right now my would I watch it from start to finish? And I think I stop at season 8. And my final thought here is maybe in a few years.
Sure.
I could watch it from 1 to 8 and all the way through.
Yeah.
But right now...
But not. Okay.
I can watch season 1 through 4 again.
And that's a bummer. Yeah. Because we...
Still love the show, though.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to hate on it. I'm not going to be that guy with the YouTube clickbait video who goes, "This thing sucks, balls."
Yep.
What culture?
Screen rant.
I'm not going to do that.
Nerdrotic kind of does it too, really.
No, actually, Nerdrotic is really good about it. Because he actually truly loves the property.
Yeah.
And one of the things he's been pointing out is just like, yeah, I want this to be better.
Yeah.
I love that he actually is like Adam. Well, I pointed out he actually looks like Adam except with hair.
Yeah.
But he is defending as much as he is criticizing, and he's really really good at his arguments.
Yeah, sure.
So,
And he's also just as disappointed.
yeah.
Yeah. So.
And also loves the Orville. So.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So, well, that's about as all we can say, really.
Yeah.
If you liked it, did I hate it? Let us know. Honestly, go to contentpinning.com. Go to youtube.com/contentpinning. See this little section, this little 30-minute episode of our show. 802-359-7468, 802-359-SHOT. That's a phone number you can call or text. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you don't like. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter as well. Content Pinning or Content Pinning the Show. And Instagram, contentpinning.com, DOTCOM, spelled out. Engage with us and tell us what you liked or what you didn't like, really, because it's a huge fucking deal. Everyone knows what they know, and they're also kind of engaged with other versions of that, and we're all marked by it. But if you're super passionate about it, let us know. I guess that's really it.
Yeah.
Well, Dylan, thanks for helping me on the show.
Absolutely.
I'm Travis. I love you, and we'll see you next time.